Ever wonder if a blade of grass could crack a murder case?
Or a speck of pollen could rewrite a crime scene.
Today we're going deep, and I mean deep into the world of forensic ecology with Patricia Wiltshire's The Natural History of Crime.
You guys sent this one in, and let me tell you, it's a game changer. It's going to completely change how you see the world around you.
Seriously, get ready to have your mind blown. We're talking about using nature's tiniest clues to solve the most baffling crimes.
Things like pollen, fungi, even soil, nature keeps records. And Patricia Wiltshire, she knows how to read them.
It's like a secret language, right? And what's fascinating is that Wiltshire, she didn't come from this traditional forensic background.
Right, no straight line there.
She was a scientist, absolutely brilliant with this deep love for the natural world.
Which is kind of the point, I think. She came at it from this completely different angle.
Yeah.
She understood ecosystems. She understood how everything is connected.
And that's what makes her work so groundbreaking. So picture this. A man is found dead, covered in blood. The police, they suspect foul play, right?
Gruesome scene. Open and shut, you'd think. Stabbing.
Exactly. But this is where Wiltshire's approach, it just blows everything wide open. While the police are focused on the murder weapon, she's meticulously collecting samples of pollen from the body.
Pollen.
Pollen. And get this, those tiny grains, they told a completely different story.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying that the pollen, it disproved a stabbing? How is that even?
That's exactly what I'm saying. It all comes down to the bigger picture. Wiltshire, she wasn't just looking at what type of pollen was present, she was analyzing where those plants were located in relation to the crime scene.
So it's like a map, but made of plants.
Exactly. And her analysis, it revealed that the pollen on the victim's body couldn't have come from a murder weapon at all. It pointed to, get this, a tragic accident in his garden.
You're kidding. So the pollen, it actually provided an alibi.
An alibi, exactly. It's incredible, right? It just goes to show you can't judge a book by its cover. Or a crime scene by its bloodstains, apparently.
You need someone who can read between the lines, or I guess between the blades of grass.
Exactly. And that's Wiltshire. She talks about the importance of actually visiting the crime scene, seeing the surrounding environment firsthand.
Makes sense. It's one thing to analyze a sample in the lab, but to really understand the context, you need to be there.
Right. To see the relationship between the plants, the soil, even the weather patterns.
Like putting together a puzzle, right? You need all the pieces.
All the pieces. And sometimes those pieces, they're smaller than you think. Sometimes those pieces are so small you practically need a microscope to find them.
Right. Like that case with the baby, the one we talked about earlier, found in the culvert.
Oh, right. And the family, they all denied being anywhere near that spot. But nature had other ideas, didn't it?
Nature always tells the truth, right? This case, this is Wiltshire at her best. Pinpointing someone's location with basically plant DNA.
Plant DNA, you mean?
Pollen. See, she surveyed the whole area, every plant, every tree.
Wow, so she basically created like a botanical fingerprint for that location.
Exactly. And get this, she finds this super rare laburnum tree, but it's not just any rare tree, pollen from that tree, found on the belongings of those suspects, the ones who said they'd never been there.
Busted by a tree. You know, when you said we were going deep, I didn't realize it was going to be this literal.
Just wait, it gets even better.
Okay.
But before we get to that, speaking of high-stakes cases, what about the Soham murders? That one gripped the whole nation.
Didn't Wiltshire play a crucial role in that investigation?
Crucial. And it wasn't just pollen this time. This time it was soil.
Soil.
Soil, plant matter, understanding how it's transported, how it can literally track someone's movements. She was brought in to analyze the suspect's car, see if it matched the location where those poor girls were found.
I remember that. The sheer scale of that investigation, it was massive.
And Wiltshire's analysis, it had to be just as thorough. Everything was examined, clothing, tools, even cigarette butts, you name it. And this is where her geology expertise, specifically that chalk bedrock found in that region, that's what made all the difference.
Chalk bedrock. How does that even factor into a murder case?
It all comes back to context,
Yeah.
right? That area, the Weald, used to be a vast forest. Think Saxon times.
Wow, we're going way back.
History leaves its mark. The landscape changed over the centuries, but that bedrock, that remained, and it influenced the soil, the plant life, everything.
So it's like looking for clues in this ancient tapestry, geology, botany, it's all connected.
Exactly. And in the Soham case, it was those tiny, seemingly insignificant fragments of soil and pollen. They created this direct link to the suspect's car. help put the pieces together.
It really makes you wonder what else is hiding in plain sight or under our feet. Speaking of which, you mentioned a case where it wasn't pollen that cracked the case. It was a fungus.
Ah, yes, the case of Mr. Littlewood. Now this one takes us into the fascinating world of forensic mycology.
Forensic mycology. Okay, you're gonna have to break that one down for me.
Mycology, it's the study of fungi.
Fungi, right. So we're talking like mushrooms,
Mm-hmm.
mold.
Exactly. And while it might sound a bit niche, believe me, it can be incredibly useful in a criminal investigation.
Okay, I'm listening. Okay, forensic mycology. So we're talking mushrooms at a crime scene. This is where it gets really interesting.
Not quite mushrooms in this case, more like microscopic clues. Remember how we talked about the importance of seeing things firsthand? Well, Wiltshire's examining the crime scene, right? And she spots this.
What'd she find?
There's this fungus growing on the victim's scalp, even spreading to the sheet. Can you imagine?
Okay, that's both fascinating and a little creepy, I'm not gonna lie. But a fungus, though? What could that tell you about a murder?
This wasn't just any fungusy. This one, it's called Scopulariopsis candida. Rare stuff. Usually found on human scalps, nails, that sort of thing.
So not just any fungus, but one that likes people.
Exactly. And it thrives in environments rich in this protein, keratin, found in hair and nails.
Hold on, so you're saying this fungus, it pointed to someone who might work with hair.
It narrowed things down, put investigators on the right track. Barbers, hairdressers, anyone who dealt with those materials regularly.
It's incredible. Talk about a tiny detail making a huge difference. But you know, as fascinating as it is to hear how this can help catch a killer, what about the opposite? Are there cases where forensic ecology helped prove someone innocent?
Absolutely. And this one, it's a reminder that things aren't always as they appear. This mother, she was wrongly accused of harming her baby.
Oh, that's just heartbreaking. What happened?
The baby was sick, vomiting, and the police found what they thought were poppy seeds in the vomit. Immediately, red flags.
Poppy seeds, like poisoning.
That's what they suspected. Imagine this mother, the fear, being suspected of hurting her own child.
I can't even imagine. So where does Wiltshire come in?
She takes a closer look, examines those so-called poppy seeds under a microscope. Turns out they weren't poppy seeds at all.
Wait, what? If they weren't poppy seeds then, what were they?
Tiny, smooth beads from a teething necklace. The mother, she wasn't poisoning her baby. She was trying to soothe him.
Oh my goodness, that poor woman. That just shows you need someone like Wiltshire, someone who's going to really look at the evidence.
It's a powerful reminder to consider all the possibilities, especially when someone's life is on the line.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned one last case, something about a murder in the Welsh Valleys.
This one had us all scratching our heads at first. Plant matter on the suspect's shoes, but it didn't match the crime scene. It was like a botanical puzzle with the wrong pieces.
So how did they figure that one out?
Wiltshire, she's all about context.
Right.
Digging deeper. And what she uncovered, it turns out the homeowner, he had brought in a load of topsoil, but not from around there.
Hold on, so you're telling me someone's landscaping project almost threw off a murder investigation?
Exactly. You never know what seemingly small action might have unexpected consequences.
This whole deep dive is just incredible. It makes you realize nature's not just something pretty to look at. It's practically keeping a record of everything we do.
It's like this hidden language, right? And Wiltshire, she's the expert translator. Those trees, the flowers, even the dirt beneath our feet, they all have a story to tell. We just have to learn how to listen.
And sometimes it takes a brilliant mind like Patricia Wiltshire to help us understand what they're saying. Well, that's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time, same place, for another fascinating journey into the world around us.